basically born and raised on a dairy farm in Wisconsin. My first 17 years of life was hating Holsteins, so to speak. Graduated from high school May of 64. And again, I loved the farming so much I left in June of 64. And I went down to Milwaukee for a year to a private engineering school, Milwaukee School of Engineering, and it was way over my head. I was out of my, plus maybe not ready to settle down at 17 and do serious studying, because that was serious work. There was no playtime at the private engineering school. As a matter of fact, back at that time, there was 2,000 students. There was not one female student.
Really?
At that time, yeah. So it was, I left the school, and then at that time, it was kind of like maybe get drafted if you weren't in school. I had an invitation to go to work for Harley Davidson at the time, but I finally just enlisted in February of 65. The first time I heard about pararescue goes back to when I was a junior in high school, and I was on vacation, one of those slight couple-day vacation at my grandmother's house in Illinois, and she had Reader's Digest magazines. I don't know if that might be before your time. I think they're still around. But anyway, I was looking through Reader's Digest one day, and I saw this article that said, "The Jumping Angels of the Air Force." And it was a story about pararescue at the time. And it featured Staff Sergeant D.W. Nelson. I don't know if you've ever heard of that before.
The last couple of interviews, Nelson was the recruiter.
Yeah, he was the head of the school at the time. Okay, so I'm reading about Staff Sergeant D.W. Nelson, pararescue, and then I never think too much about it. And then after, again, back to when I enlisted, I qualified for and was interested in electronics. So I got my orders to Missile Electronics School, Lowry Air Base, Colorado at the time, about at the end of my basic training. And then about a week before graduation, Roger Porter, who became a PJ. In fact, he's the first cousin to Pitzenbacher, lives in Ohio. He said he's looking for somebody to go look at this volunteer thing about rescue and all that. And he can't find anybody in the barracks, so I said, "Okay, Roger, I'll go with you." And that was the last time we we didn't even graduate from basic. They took us right into the dormitory for PJ training. Okay, so we're running and swimming and doing all that. And so at that time, we were into PJ training, which really is so much different than today. I mean, today is so formalized, so right on point, just as you well know. Back then, it was just in the water all morning and running all afternoon. There was no real set pattern for anything. It was just run and swim, run and swim, run and swim. And in fact, the guy that was in charge of our training had been my basic training NCO when I was in basic. He claimed to be a British commando and played the role of being a British commando with the accent and the whole bit. Well, it turned out he never was. It was all bullshit. But anyway, he did a good job of getting us ready. And then from there, of course, we went through the pipeline. And Roger Porter, I, and class of 65-2, I think it was. Anyway. So, to regress a little bit, I read about D. Nelson. And then when I get through my pipeline of the courses, the jump school, the scuba school, and all, we get to Eglin Air Force Base, which is the transition school, the final PJ school at Eglin Air Force Base at that time. And who's the commandant? D.W. Nelson. Mm-hmm. So I meet D.W. Nelson after reading about him as a junior in high school. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then after graduating from the pararescue training course, I'm going to jump back again a little bit because graduation ceremonies today are pretty formal and big deal. And we had our night of graduation was at D. Nelson's house for beers and wrestling on the lawn. That was our graduation, right?
So he's an approachable guy.
Well, yeah, he's great, yeah. But that was our graduation.
Yeah.
Okay. And that was before berets, too.
Okay.
Yeah, that was like... So I'm out of sequence a little bit, but whatever. Later, I am stationed at, I'll get back to but
For sure.
this is the D.W. Nelson story. I'm at Hamilton Air Force, California, at I think it was the 41st Yeah, it would be the 41st Rescue Squad at that time. And D.W. Nelson comes in as the NCOIC. So now I'm working for D.W. Nelson. And my sister-in-law comes to visit. And long story short, she ends up marrying D.W. Nelson. So now he's my brother-in-law.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, when they got married, Mike Fish was at Hamilton with us, and he and his wife, and me and my wife, we went to Reno to get them married.
Really?
Yeah. So now he's my brother-in-law, and then for years after, we're fighting over turkey dinners and stuff. So anyway, but then back to the pipeline after graduation, went through the normal pipeline, as you well know, the jump school, medical, scuba, survival, and on through. And then my first assignment was Pleiku, Vietnam, 1966. After first, I had to go to Moody Air Force Base and do the firefighter training for the HH-43 fire suppression kit.
Okay.
So I had to go through the firefighting school because the unit I was going to, Det 9, 38th at Pleiku, was a 43 squadron with the fire suppression kit situated.
Is that one that Tommy Miles was on?
Yes, that's the one Tommy got blown out of the sky.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We used to call it the whistling shit house. It's kind of a, but it had great hovering capabilities. It could hover forever. And I think at one time it even held the altitude record for helicopters at 30-some thousand feet.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Are you familiar with what it looks like?
It's
It's real. It's got counter rotating blades. Doesn't have any tail rotor, just the,
like a non-traditional looking helicopter.
yeah, and like a box with, but it would hover really well.
Okay.
So I was there for a year, and we did, most of our missions were for the Army because they had no hoist capability. So anytime they had wounded or needed some help on the ground where they couldn't land, they would call us because we had the hoist capability. So, and a lot of our missions were at night as well. So I guess the highlight of my tour there was one of the worst times of my life is when October 28th, 1966, we were on a night mission for the Army, and I'm on the ground. Well, platoon had been separated from its mother company by a big battle on the ground. This is near Plagerang, I think, Vietnam. And they had 6 or 7 wounded. They had a perimeter set up, and we flew out to the perimeter. I went down on the ground, littered one at a time, sent 2 up, and then the 3rd one was on the way up when they shot down the helicopter. And it inverted and came down through and landed in the middle of the perimeter in a ball of fire. And then the enemy troops tried to overrun the position. Some of them got into the perimeter, and just this is all hell broke loose. Artillery started coming in. They were starting calling artillery in on the perimeter. Buff at that time, was it Buff? Puff the Magic Dragon was a gunship.
Yeah, the Spectre gunships.
Yeah, it wasn't a 130 yet. It was a C-47 gunship back in the time. Yeah. And that was coming in the perimeter. And then A-1s come in, dropping perimeter stuff. Anyways, bad night. And we lost the survivors, lost my hoist operator, and we got the pilots out through the glass bubble in the front. The young lieutenant died, and later the pilot, Captain Vermees, did survive. So I was down there with that situation for 18 hours. The next morning they come and napalm the perimeter. And then our second 43 came in and got us out the next afternoon. Other than that, just a lot of that type of missions without that disastrous event, obviously.
Just to kind of dissect that mission, though, and I'm sure you got a ton of questions on it, but like, you're getting 3 patients up into the aircraft, and you're like, man, I'm doing my job,
Yeah.
one after another, and then it gets shot down and just lands. You obviously are going straight back into it, but now your new mission is extrication, fire suppression.
Yeah, I just got out from under it in the nick of time, running into a foxhole with an Army guy. And then when it crashed, inverted in flames, I went back. Um, my hoist operator was still alive.
Okay.
They couldn't get him out. Yeah, that was probably one of the worst helpless feelings you can have. So that was a bad situation. I really don't talk about it very often. But anyway, that was the situation at that time. And then also it gave the enemy troops a lot of extra visualization because you got this fireball in the middle of the perimeter and they can see from the outside in and you can't really see the outside out. So, and then we had grenades in there too that were blowing up. So it was just a pile of burning rubble the next day, and then pulling the remains out.
Mm-hmm.
The next mission I remember quite vividly, and there were many, was one night an Army helicopter crashed into a ravine of bamboo forest ravine.
Mm-hmm.
And we got the call, and it's on a high ridge line. We get up to, and we see one guy on the high ridge line waving, survivor from that crash. I go down the hoist. We don't know if they got shot down or it's a mechanical problem. You have to assume it were. I put him, oh, this is bad. He had a compound fracture of the femur, and I could not deal with it at that time and place. I had to throw him on the hoist and send him up with that. Bad deal for him, but he survived, right? So then I had to go start looking for this Huey that's turned out rolled into the valley all the way. It was a couple hundred yards down, but I started down through the bamboo, but where he had rolled, I couldn't get through it. And this is pitch of night.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to go over to the side and fight my way through bamboo down to the stream level below, and then go up and then come back and go up and come back until I found it.
And you're completely alone.
Yeah. And I don't know if they've been shot down or not anyway. But finally find it about 10, 15 yards up from the stream. And there's 3 surviving Army guys in it. But again, I can't, they're trapped. I can't get them out. So we spend the night, and the next day the Army brings in a Chinook with the ladders and chainsaws and all, and we finally get them out the next day. That was another extended mission situation. But other than that, it's just a lot of air crashes, cargo ship crash, C-123, I think it is. I forget, some of these went in on some of those, but we kept pretty busy until that last situation, and then we lost both of our helicopters. The next day after we went down, our second bird got shot down, but it wasn't. They were able to land in the 7th. So that's the Vietnam thing, basically.
Okay. And you found yourself multiple times, like extended medical care and extended ground situation.
Yeah.
One being alone and one being with Army security force that was actively in contact with the enemy.
Yep.
So what did you learn through those extended scenarios, like that prepared you for future missions? Maybe you could prepare future pararescue men for their missions if they have extended missions like that.
I for a long time I had a situation where I felt bad about surviving that situation, since my co-pilot and hoist operator died. But then you have to kind of go on and say you did the best you could with the training you had. And, the training we had at that time was nothing compared to what you guys get. Our medical school was 4 weeks. And then, of course, we went to the PJ at Eglin. Finally, we'd get some more training. But basically, it was, airway, breathing shock and patch them up and send them on. There was no extended stay with anybody. It was always just, yeah. So it's nothing like what you guys do today, which is completely fantastic. Yeah. So from there, I was stationed at, let's see, where do they go from there? Spain, of all places.
Okay.
Nice.
Enjoy the beach. Is it Rota? Did you go to Rota?
No, Morone.
Okay.
Morone Air Force Base. And so I leave Vietnam in March of 66, yeah. And it's hot and humid. I land in Minneapolis to visit my home before I go, and it's 20 below. So I spent a month at home, and also in the process got married. And then my next assignment, like I say, was Hamilton Air Force Base, California. No. Yes, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm out of line. Spain for 2 years was a great assignment.
Okay.
From there, I got, during that time, I got my initial Apollo recovery mission training.
Okay. Yeah.
You'd never guess where I got my initial, unless you interview guys. We got our sheltered water Apollo installation recovery training in the harbor of Tripoli, Libya.
Really?
Yes. We had a unit there.
They're good guys there.
We had, yeah. That's when the king was still, they had a king at that time, So, and we had a mission, a rescue squadron there in Tripoli at that time. So then we did our day and night Apollo recovery training in the Mediterranean out of there after doing it in Tripoli.
Did you guys ever cover down on any launches?
Ever what?
Did you cover down on any launches?
We used to go from Spain, we would go to Mauritius Islands and sit there in case they had to come down that side of the world. So So Spain, what else? Spain was a great place. We used to take our weekends and go down to a place called Torremolinos, which was on the Spanish Riviera.
Okay.
Drive from Morone Air Base, which is in the southern, Sevilla is the southern, drive through Granada and down to Torremolinos, and it's a great weekend. We did our water work out of Rota, Spain, and the Navy EOD used to keep our boat for us. But it was about a 2-hour drive down there. So we do our scuba jumps and stuff down there, but we could leave the boat with them.
Okay.
Did that training there. Yeah.
There's Spanish training still alive and well out. I was part of the squadron in Italy.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to Alicante.
Oh, wow.
Spain,
Yeah.
Like beach town.
Yeah.
We're still doing jumps, dives, shooting with the Spanish.
Oh, wow.
Forces, so
Yeah.
We got started.
Well, that unit, that a unit originated in Scotland.
Okay.
And when I got to Spain, it just moved to Morone from Scotland.
Okay.
And then from Scotland, it went to England.
Mm-hmm.
And from England went on to Aviano, right?
Aviana, yeah.
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 Yeah. So, where were we in Spain? Not much else in Spain, I guess, other than bullfights and flamingo dancing. And I got kind of a funny story. Willie Williams just passed.
Yep. We did an interview with him too.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, my God. He was in my training class, too. We went through training together. We were in Spain together. In fact, when I got into Spain, I said I left from Minneapolis and went to Spain. Willie and a guy by Mike Halverson met me at the plane and said, "You want to go skiing tomorrow?" I said, "I just landed." They met me at the plane. I said, "I haven't even checked." Well, the next day I'm in Oberstdorf, Germany for ski school. I don't know how we worked that out, but I was there. And so, have you ever heard about the bird walk? Have anybody mentioned that?
No.
all of our people in European area would go to Bergwalk, Oberstdorf, Germany, where the German rescue mountain team was called Bergwalk, and we would train with them.
Mhm.
Skiing was the fun part, but the Arctic training, no, not a lot of fun, right? Snow caves and that crap. Willie got out of the snow cave shit because he had never skied at all before from Florida. And this one day of skiing, he's coming down this long last hill, parallel, doing about Mach 20, and he dives forward and rolls. So he's going to spend the night in a room while we got to go dig a snow cave and stay in the snow. But yeah, Willie. So Spain training, Bergwalk. And then also from Spain, we went there for summer mountain climbing training too, which is really, really good. It's on the Swiss-Austrian border, beautiful place. And that was one of the things we did in Spain too. From Spain, where did I go from Spain?
Hamilton.
Hamilton, yeah. After stopping in Wisconsin on leave, bought a brand new '69 Roadrunner
Okay.
for $38.50 out the door.
Nice.
Still got it?
Oh, I wish. It's worth a lot now. And drove from there with my new wife at the time to Hamilton, which is at Golden Gate Bridge area, just north of Golden Gate Bridge on Frisco Bay. It's a great place. But I'm traveling through, here's another PJ story, traveling through Nebraska, middle of the week, no traffic. I-80, I think it is, wide open. So I'm cruising along at about 90. And out of my rearview mirror, I see a car gaining on me. And, and it got closer. It wasn't a police car. It turned out to be a gray 230 SL Mercedes with a German plate on the front. Okay, so we kind of slowed down a little bit, and he comes past me, so I kind of look at him, and then we're doing about 90 to 95 again, and he's going by me, and of course, while we're preoccupied, what happens? We get a speed trap. So we're both going now to a little county courthouse in York, Nebraska. And we're sitting there waiting for the judge. And where are you going? California. Where you go? We're in California. Hamilton Air Force. Hamilton Air Force. Wow, me too. And then I looked down. Got the same watch I got. I said, shit, they're PJ. They're PJs in the middle of Nebraska, and he had picked
Drag race.
Yeah, but what are the odds, right? Yeah, what are the odds? And he picked up a car in New York. He had married a German, he was of German descent. He married a German girl. He picked up her car and was driving it through to California, and she was going to fly in next. So we got stationed together. Steve Irick was his name. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was another situation. And then Hamilton Air Force Base, where I told you, Howie Faber was the NCOIC. He was an icon on the career field. And D. Nelson came in and replaced him, like I mentioned earlier. D. Nelson was one of the original PJs. He came out of the Army Airborne into pararescue back in the 50s. So he and Chuck Walters were two of the. Did anybody mention Nick the Greek?
No.
He was the chief pararescue man when I first came in the career field. Chief Master Sergeant, headquarters guy of Greek descent, had been a sponge diver as a kid in Greece. Nick the Greek.
Nick the Greek.
Nick the Greek. He was the man.
Like a New Yorker, you know?
Nick the Greek. And he was famous. One of the things he was famous for was he could make a scuba jump without a cigar getting wet. Yeah, he always had a cigar in his mouth.
Okay.
Really blustery old guy. And he also was the MAC handball champion at the time, too. So he was burly, strong, pretty well coordinated, too, I guess. But, yeah, he was the chief when he first came through. Quite a character. So at Hamilton Air Force Base, did get one jump mission, a scuba jump mission out of Hamilton to a British ship that had a Asian guy fall off a mast or something and got injured, and we treated him for about 2 days until we were close enough to California where a helicopter came out. Coast Guard, I think, came out, picked us up, and brought us back. That was one mission there that I had. Other than that, not many missions there. Just a lot of training. We did do at that time training we were the ground crew for the surface to air recovery mission. You familiar with that?
No.
At that time, the 130 had the capability of, the ground crew, we would go out, send up a big balloon, and then the 130 come along, clear it, and then pull the survivor behind. They reel it in behind.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, it serves there. So we did that training at Beale Air Force Base in California. And of course, we had to fill these balloons, and we had the retrieving device for all the lines, because you had the flow of the balloon, then you had to have another retrieving line over here with a smaller balloon anyway. So they would practice picking up sandbags, weight equal to per. I don't think I'd have volunteered for that ride, but the commander at that time of rescue, Colonel Brooks, he volunteered and he took the ride just to make the deal that, hey, this system works and it's safe. So hats off to him. I didn't.
Wow. I would have never signed. I think that's how they got Pablo Escobar out of Colombia, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, maybe, yeah. Because he did it with an airman. The two of them, it was a double pickup, and he and an airman did it, and that was, hats off to him.
Were there ever any mishaps with that? Because we don't do that anymore.
It's like yoink.
Yeah.
No, I don't remember of any mishaps with that.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times it was actually used, but yeah. So, and that's the first time I saw the SR-71, because they were stationed out at Beale Air Force Base.
Okay.
So this was 1969, but they had been around for a while already.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was not the last thing I had to do with SR-71s, but so Hamilton, and then from Hamilton it went to, where did it go? Azores? I think so. Hamilton to the Azores. Yeah. We had a rescue unit, 57th ARS in Lodges Field at the Azores. And that was I think we spent 2 years there. And I had one jump mission on the Azores on an Indian ship that had an injured person on board. I don't even remember the exact injuries, but stayed with that ship for 2 or 3 days before they dropped us off in Dakar, Africa.
Really?
Yeah. And we had no paperwork or passports or anything to put us in Dakar, Africa.
Yeah.
So we kind of had E&E to the embassy,
Yeah.
and then the embassy drove us to a runway where we were on the roster as coming in with the 130, whatever, and then we got back to the Azores.
Wow.
By the Azores too, we also did a lot of training with Apollo. You always had to keep currency, you had to day and your night missions and stuff and all that too. So we did that there too.
The Azores, just seeing pictures of it, never been, looks absolutely gorgeous. Can't imagine training.
Yeah, it's a tropical paradise.
Yeah.
Yeah. And strange thing though about being a pararescue squadron there, the K.O. Kelly was the NCOIC at that time, Bill Davidson. I don't know if you met Larry Wellington out here.
Not yet.
He was this tall when we were in the Azores. His dad, Larry Wellington Sr., was the second in charge of the Azores.
Okay.
And as a side note, later he got banged up really bad at a tree jump in Oregon. Normally your tree jumps, you get the hang up. Well, he was in high trees in some Oregonian forest, didn't hang up. He kept breaking. By the time he got to the ground, he was all busted up and in the hospital for a long time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that was a kind of a bad deal there. But the other thing in the Azores, everything in that island, Cesar Island, is only like 7 by 14 miles. and everything's divided into farmland and rock walls, and none of these spaces are big enough for a drop zone. Okay,
Yeah.
so we used the third fairway of the golf course for our drop zone. Okay,
Nice.
and we had to jump early in the mornings to prevent being, out in the way of some golfers. So we would jump early in the morning, throw our stuff in the trucks, go to the clubhouse, get our stuff, go play 18 holes, and then go back to the base, which is just about a 15-minute drive back to the base.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Just jumping through clubs.
Yeah. Well, in the clubhouse, we kept the stuff there. We were all golfers, but we had professional clubs because over there you get everything about 40% price. Everything was cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had Wilson Staff X31s, and Mike Gallagher had. You and Mike Gallagher?
No, I've heard the name.
Yeah, he was in my training class too, and he went on to be a physician's assistant, and I think he retired as a major. He's here at the, and so we used to play golf. In fact, I said one of the most dangerous missions I ever had was looking for a lost golf ball with Mike in the rough, because he had kind of a temper, and we're digging through the rough, and he takes his iron and goes with a swearing, and just went by my nose at 50 miles. I could have died on the golf course at Azores.
The one thing that they got a PJ golfing in the Azores would be.
Yeah, can you read that story?
Went to bring that bell. That's cool. It's awesome. We say it time and time again. I don't know where we went wrong with our TV station, but man, you got some pretty cool ones. Yeah.
Well, yeah, kind of an isolated one, but
The Azores, was that in the 80s? Or I know you retired in 1990, correct?
yeah, I was in the Azores from, let's see, I left Azores had to be early 70s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Navy had the planes, the Army had the boats. Because out of the Navy, they flew their P-3 sub chasers out of there. Yeah. And of course, the Azores originally was designed as a stopover World War II for refueling and all, and they still had a lot of refueling stuff out of there. So from the Azores, where'd I go? I think I went to, let's see, from the Azores, we went to Florida. There was a small helicopter detachment in Homestead Air Force Base, Huey detachment that was assigned to the Sea Survival School.
Mhm.
And it wasn't a lot of PJ work, but we became great hoist operators, because the mission for that helicopter unit was to support the Sea Survival School. And one of the training aspects of that school was they put their students, or whatever you want to call them, of sea survival, they put them out in the water in their one-man rafts in their survival kit, and they had to learn how to come up a hoist when a helicopter came in to pick them up. So you had a long line of these guys, maybe 10 or 12, 50, 60 yards apart in the water. We had two lines, you have two helicopters, and the PJs did the hoist operating, forward, back, up, down. And so we'd go and you'd hover over one of these guys, and they were told to jump out of their one-man dinghy and get over to the penetrator, and we would lift them up maybe 10 feet out of the water and put them down, and they'd unhook, and we'd go to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
And shouldn't have raced sometimes, but sometimes we would get and see if we could get through their line.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Anything to save you from the boredom.
But you getting pretty good with the left, right, up, down,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it was like almost a reflex after a while. But yeah, that was it. Was there? I made a stand-up scuba jump there one time. We had a night scuba jump out of Homestead and Biscayne Bay, and the tide was out. And when I landed, come pick me up,
No kidding.
standing on the bottom.
First ever stand-up. That's amazing.
Stand up, come get me, I'm right here. So so from Homestead, that was the major part of the mission. And I kind of messed up a little bit there because I wasn't real happy. That was my first NCOIC job. I was a tech sergeant. What was kind of funny is, as a background, I was recruited out of Milwaukee by a staff sergeant recruiter.
Okay.
I later met him in the Azores. He was a staff sergeant. I was a tech sergeant.
Really?
Yeah. So I'd made that tech under sixes or something like that. So he was, I said, "You're right. This Air Force is great."
He's like, I'm still getting paid. You know? Well, I think that was maybe credit to Silver Star, right? You promoted-
I don't know because I whatever, but
It doesn't matter.
you know, but
Any
so
major lessons you learned as a NCOIC that just in terms of just leadership?
yeah, I kind of messed up at Homestead. I wasn't happy with the assignment, and Chief Walters came in, and I kind of told him how I felt about it, and I kind of like to think if I'd have been smart enough and played that part well, I'd have probably went on to make master and gone right up like a John Toby situation because I had everything going for me. You know, John Toby made everything from right through straight. Every time he was eligible, he got promoted.
Mhm.
I think he made like chief in 16 years or so, whatever at the time was unheard of. And I think I was in the same situation because D. Nelson and Chuck Walters were sometimes it's who you know. And D and Chuck Walters, who was the chief of pararescue at that time, were good friends. And so Walters kind of had it, was setting me up,
Mhm.
but I was too stupid to take advantage of it. So I kind of shot myself in the foot at that debt.
Okay.
I even went in and got out. And later came back in, 6 months later, I came back in as an assistant to Chuck Hassler at the 301st at Homestead, which is a reserve unit.
Mhm.
I don't know if you're named Chuck Hassler or not, but he was in one class behind. And then later he moved on, and I became the head of the team at the 301st.
When you said you got out,
Well, he went back to active duty.
But you separated from the military.
I did for about 6 months. And then I came back. Chuck gave me a call.
what was your thought process in terms of like getting out and then choosing to get back in?
I wasn't happy on the outside. I wasn't finding a good job. I was back in Wisconsin. And for some reason, Chuck gave me a call, said, "Hey, we got this, would you like to come down?" I said, "Yeah." So I was back in Homestead, Florida with the 301st and then for about a year and then working for him. And then he went back to active duty. And then I became the chief of that unit for a couple of years.
Sometimes it takes just stepping away for a little while to
Yeah.
realize.
Yeah. So it was, yeah. And Chuck Hassler and Homestead, Florida. You heard the name Rick Prado?
Yep. Big time.
Yeah.
Rick was one of our reservists at that point in time.
Okay.
So I knew him fairly well.
Interviewed him as well.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he came from what, Miami-Dade Fire?
Yeah, that was part of his occupation.
Mhm.
Yeah. Man in many hats.
But he had quite a story. I don't know if you read his book. I mean,
I did,
he
yeah.
came from Cuba and was in a home like a home for boys for some years for his family. He was able to get out. Yeah, so I know Rick really well from that point. And from Homestead, we just did a lot of water work at Homestead in survival and in support of but the 301st, we had Huey helicopters and yeah, it was all Hueys pretty much. A lot of airline pilots doing their reserve time there and so forth. So your air reserve technician job was to support the teams when they came in for their weekends and their summer camps and stuff. So it was a good job. Then I went back active duty and went from there to McClellan Air Force Base, which is at Sacramento. Yeah. And did several years there. And I was also at one point in time, I became the NCOIC of that unit as well. I never was a headquarters type guy. I never really wanted headquarters. And I was thinking, I had 5 NCOIC jobs within my career. I don't think anybody ever came close to that number. Not that that was an effort to try, but it just happened to be that way. So that was a great job there. A lot of great people. wish I could remember all of them. Mike Vogel, he was there. Stu Stanlin, Stu, he was there. Anyway, McClellan was a 53 unit and a HD 130 unit. But I don't have a lot of things I can remember. 1976 bicentennial year, got my one tattoo in honor of the 200 years. So that was 1976, and then from McClellan in 79, where did I go? You're not helping me much.
Cut it out. You're gonna look sharp in the tack. You're gonna be like, all right, yeah. Boom, 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 boom.
Oh, yeah, right.
I don't have your full bio, so
I should have brought my my military resume. I say from McClellan, where did I go?
We're all over. You really were.
Every 3 years I moved, it was overseas, back, overseas, back, overseas, back. Let's see, from McClellan, I think I went to Philippines. Philippines, yeah. Spent 3 years assignment in the Philippines. I assumed the NCOIC position in the Philippines from Wayne Fisk.
Really?
Yeah. And we spent 3 years there. It was a great assignment.
Was it Clark?
Clark Air Base, before it got hit by Mount Pinatubo exploding. I left well before that. And the mission there was, of course, any kind of rescue that come up. And also we supported the drone. See, it was Camp Wallace. They used to shoot drones out of Wallace Air Station, and the fighters would use them as targets, and then they would splash down. And then our mission was we'd go in with the H-3s, and the PJ would go down the hoist, hook up the drone, and they would fly it back into the air station to refurb it. That was one of the big missions there. And other than that, it was just regular rescue missions. Do you know Mark Brassage?
No.
He was a lieutenant there. He's here at the reunion. He retired as a colonel and was the commander of a lot of the rescue units that the PJs were associated with. And he was a great friend of pararescue all the way through the career field. So I was there for 3 years, and then from there I went to Kirtland Air Force Base. And there I worked in the wing. I was a flight examiner and stuff at the wing across the runway from the schoolhouse. And from there, we got, at that point in time was when we first started the free fall jumping.
Okay.
1982-ish, I think, is when, and this was a crazy way of doing things, but we had our big skydivers were kind of in charge of training the career field in free fall jumping. Like Bob LaPointe, those guys. You talk about lack of standardization. I can remember going out a jump of a 130 in Albuquerque. 10 different guys, 7 different chutes, colored, non-colored, PUDs, rip cords,
Chaos.
ropes and rings chutes.
Yeah.
Did you ever pack a ropes and rings chute? All kinds of crazy stuff.
We appreciate you guys doing that.
Yeah.
Different
experiences.
different jumpsuits.
Yeah.
Standardized things.
Well, oh God.
So the way that all went down, right, wasn't like Dave Milston tried to staff it. Then Mike McManus said, hey, we're going to assemble a team to do an MTT, and then we're going to do it all in Kirtland, bring everybody out.
Yeah, they did formalize it, but then while I was there, they sent about 7 or 8 of us went up to the Air Force Academy and went through their free fall course, which was a crazy way they had of teaching it, but we did that. And then later did it through, they set up the course and did it through our own means.
So the Air Force Academy probably still teaches the same way. I went there. That was my.
Oh yeah.
Went to, but
Do they stand at the door like this and they got it?
they just jump out free fall. So it's based on your academic performance.
Yeah.
So the smart kids get a jump. So I did not jump there. They gave me the glider program, so they didn't even trust me with the engine of a plane. They said you're just gonna.
In other words, that
Glide in the air. But my buddies did it, and essentially their training was, hey, this is how you do free fall. You're gonna count to 6, and you employ your parachute. Go ahead, jump out.
The door position was crazy. It was like this, and then you had to kind of whatever. But it was.
Was that the first time you jumped free fall there, or had you been doing it on the side?
I had done a few jumps on the side when I was at where was I? At Hamilton? No, at McClellan. There was a drop zone away from McClellan. I did a couple. I never got out of the free. I was still on the static line. Then the name Bob Holler ever?
Heard of him?
Yeah, he's one who got killed a few years ago, unfortunately, in a free fall accident in Florida after about 8,000 jumps. So I had a few. This was crazy. When I was in the Philippines, it was at Clark. Bob Holler was a sky god.
Mm-hmm.
L.D. Jeffries, you know him?
I've heard the name.
He's here.
Yeah, okay.
He was a pilot. And they threw me out. I said they tried to kill me. They threw me out of an airplane. I forgot the altitude. But I never did establish stability. And I remember opening and having the shock of my life finally under a paracommander. You know what a paracommander is?
No.
It's kind of like the ultimate chute before the squares came along.
Okay.
It did have a certain amount of forward motion, and it was called a paracommander. So I opened it, and that was one jump, but it doesn't count for anything.
To your surprise, it was this. Oh, okay, I got this.
Yeah, it was. Anyway, did you know Bob Holler? He died in an accident in Florida with a combat controller collision at 500 feet.
Really? How old was he?
Bob was a retired chief at that time. I don't know. He might have been 50, 40s.
Still jumping.
Yeah, he and L.D. Jeffries were good friends. L.D. Jeffries went on to be a captain with United Airlines. He just retired a few years ago from there. And his wife, Kelly, is still a captain with United Airlines, vice versa. Mm-hmm. They're both here. Big pararescue supporters when it comes to the reunion and all.
Yeah. Did you retire out of Kirtland?
From Kirtland, I went to England.
Okay.
For 3 years. And I was the NCIC at England for the 3 years. And another great assignment. I was back at the 67th, even though they changed the name. But I was there for 3 years. And then from there, I went back to Kirtland and retired the last 2 years at Crew.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then that brought you to Vegas to be a police officer?
Yeah, when I was at Kirtland the last couple of years, I was director of training, and we had a foreign weapons course at Nellis.
Okay.
Run by the PJs here at Nellis. So I visited the weapons course at Nellis, and at that one time, some of the Metro police officers were out there shooting with our guys at Nellis, out on Area 2 or Site 2, whatever it is. And they mentioned they're recruiting for police officers, and I never in my wildest imagination thought I'd ever be a cop. But there I was. And so I volunteered and came out, and I was in the academy, right? My last, what do they call the last minute leave? Or you have
terminal leave?
Terminal leave. I spent my terminal leave in the academy here in Vegas. And I was the oldest, obviously. I was 43 years old. I'm the oldest. Yeah, I was the old man. I'm always the old man everywhere. I don't know why, but I'm the old man. Because I'm the old man here, old man there, whatever. I guess it's good to be old. And what's that?
Old man powerlifting.
Still winning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 78. I'll be 79 in a month or two. But so, yeah, I did that and did 22 years.
Okay.
Now that was a real eye opener, psychologically as much as anything. When you grow up in a farm community, a handshake is as good as written word, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I remember my dad bought a farm from a brother-sister family on a handshake. They didn't even sign anything.
Really?
Yeah. And they had an agreement that he would send a percentage of the milk check every month, whatever percent it was to them. They never signed any paperwork.
Simpler times.
Ain't that something?
Yeah.
So I came from that mindset into the military. In the military, you have people, you believe pretty much, there's war stories, but basically everybody's honest and people are honest and true.
Mm-hmm.
So you go into the cop business and it all switched. I would go out in training after the academy. You went with a training officer for several months on the road, and you do a suspect interview with your training officer. And the suspect, of course, is a professional liar many times. And that sounds reasonable. Mm-hmm. And then my trainer would tap me on the shoulder, take over, complete lie. So I had to change the paradigm from assuming when people talk they're telling the truth to now I know everybody's lying. You start there.
Yeah.
And then you go, you don't start with the truth and look for a lie. You start with a lie. He's lying, she's lying. That's it. We'll see if it is otherwise.
Yeah.
It took me a while for that internal mindset to switch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is an unfortunate kind of mindset switch you have to make.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't prefer just a handshake environment. But
Yeah.
Handshake, give you the.
Everybody's lying.
Yeah.
I guess the back part of our interview is really focused on helping next generation PJs and stuff like that. One of the questions I like to ask for people that go into a career after their career in the military is, what in pararescue helped you to be a cop? Like, what did you?
The police academy was one of the worst times I ever had. It was miserable for me. It should not have been hard based on, again, my military past, pararescue in particular. Physically, shouldn't have been hard at all, and it really wasn't. But emotionally, they treat it like a basic training situation where they're screaming at you and you're doing push-ups and it's
Back at
like
the bottom.
it's going right back again. And at the time, I had some personal issues that made it bad timing wise. So it was a miserable experience. That academy. It was a miserable experience. Wanted to quit.
Mhm.
Wanted to quit, but there was not. And again, I think it's because the pararescue training, it's not part of the vocabulary. I'm not going to quit. I was miserable every day. I hated going in every day. I hated it. And, but no, I'm not going to quit. I might add too, when I was in pararescue training, what's the single most area where people wash out? Water, right? I was not a good swimmer.
Mhm.
I was not a good swimmer. And, but I'm not gonna quit. And I struggled through it, became a better swimmer, but never was really that good.
Mhm.
And, but I was not, they were gonna have to throw me out before I quit. And that pool harassment, we didn't have that pool harassment like you have now in training at Lackland.
Mhm.
But at the scuba school, they did. They would throw you under and then they would dive on you and take your mask and all that. And we had some of the best swimmers washed out of the training at that point. And I, one of the least swimming capabilities, survived it somehow. I never had to come to the surface. I remember going down to the bottom of the and reaching on the last. I was probably about to see the wizard.
About to pass out, yeah.
I got the air back on just that and never did have to come up. So I made it, but it's just through, and I think that's, there's no quit.
Yeah.
No quit.
Well, you don't need to swim where you stand up scuba jumps like you.
What's that? Oh, my stand-up scuba jumps. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do
I
that.
actually got a buddy, Joey, who listens to this. He had a stand-up scuba jump, but he landed on a boat on accident.
That
And it
hurts.
bruised.
I had Stan Sanders, a friend of mine, a PJ, retired, reminded me of something the other day. He said, "Do you remember this night over the North Sea out of England when we had to get the guys a nice scuba jump and we're running out of time? It's 1 January is coming up. They're all going to be an uncurrent if we don't get it." And so we had like 8 guys on a 53 to get to this last scuba jump. But we also had a guy in jump master training. We had a guy getting this, getting that. It was or whatever. So I was the last man out. And and Stan says, I said, "What's the count?" He said, 45. I said, "What's the count?" He said, 45. 45. It was over a mile away from the target.
Yeah.
So from 53. So, okay, Stan, at 45. And I landed 10 feet from the target.
No kidding.
I was just by sheer whatever, 10 feet from the target.
Coldest I've ever been is jumping that English Channel.
Oh,
man.
nice and cold,
So
isn't it?
you get in there, and then we had Zodiacs and jet skis, but you're dodging these massive ships,
Oh, yeah.
cargo ships right in
Yeah.
the channel. So yeah,
Yeah.
not fun.
Well, you guys have such. Oh, wow.
Well, I shouldn't complain. Yeah, we had some good wetsuits.
Oh no, I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
I used to hate. You remember the wet? You never knew. They called it a unisuit.
Mm.
Was it like a Mustang suit, kind of?
I don't know what a Mustang suit is, but it was hard. It was like real thick,
Okay.
cold water suit,
Mhm.
and you had to zip in the back, and you had to pull the hood. It was very cumbersome. You
Mhm.
could hardly move in a sucker, and that was before they finally came up with the Viking suit, which was better. But that was a terrible suit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a pain.
You had a busy career. I wanted to ask, do you have any advice in terms of maintaining, a healthy family life, work balance while traveling everywhere, and then even
That was very hard on family life. I ended up divorcing my first wife, and my 3 daughters were at the time teenagers. The PJ attitude at that time might contribute to that somewhat. Away from home, temptations, messing around, that kind of thing, and that doesn't lead to a happy home life. It's hard enough being away from the family without, So, yeah, that's something I think we really need to think about hard as far as maintaining a home life and a happy family life.
Mhm.
Because I think that's true of in the police career field too. That was another major factor. Many divorces, suicides. I had during my time with Metro, I think I know of 5 suicides. During my PJ career field, I know of 3 or 4 suicides. Yeah, it can be emotionally tough.
yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely think it's just one of those things that's not talked about enough, and it's worth just trying to gain insight and knowledge from those that already been through it.
Yeah, I think for the young guys too, thinking about getting married. Now, I grew up on a farm. Again, here we go. It's a normal thing when you're 24, 25, you get married. It's like part of you just do it.
Right.
It's like that mindset without actually understanding the ramifications that this is a life-changing event forever.
Biggest decision.
Biggest decision of your life.
Mhm.
And I think understanding and knowing that. The only thing sometimes I tell people younger than mine, 2 things I didn't do, I wish I would have done. This isn't directly related to that, but keep a daily journal. If you go online and you look up the positive aspects of keeping a daily journal, it's amazing what it does for the mind and how it keeps you even more focused on what you're doing at the time and what you're going to do in the future. Not to mention the great feeling of being able to look back and refresh your memory. I've forgotten a lot of stuff and the second thing is live in the moment. I was always never right there. And I think that's why I don't remember a lot of things back then, because I was always, I'm not focused on the moment in time. I mean, there's times when you are focused moment in time, like jumping, whatever
Yeah.
But other than that, you miss a lot of stuff because you're not focused. But the journal helps you keep you focused too. It helps remind you at the end of the day, and then years later you'll be thanking yourself for doing it. And if you can develop that habit, it's only 5-10 minutes every night before you turn in. Just jot it down.
I think that's great.
It's
advice.
good advice. Wished I'd done that. I've got another Willie Williamson story.
Okay.
We go, okay. We're in Spain. Bob Gabriel, Bob Williamson, myself, and Mike Helgerson. We're at a bar one night in Spain, in Sevilla, and we're in Gabriel's VW Bug. It's late at night. We're driving back from the club in Sevilla to the base at Morone. And for some reason, Gabriel lets Willie drive. Now, we've all had a much to drink. I don't think Willie was any better off than Gabriel, but Willie's driving. And so it's all cobblestone streets, and it's night, and the cobblestone has got some kind of a mist or a little bit of misty moisture on the street.
Mm-hmm.
And Willie's driving, and I'm in the back seat with Mike, and Gabriel's up front, and he starts making this long turn, and suddenly the ass starts passing the front.
Oh,
We
nice.
do a complete 360, no flipping that VW Bug,
Really?
and on we go. And Gabriel is just beside himself because Willie's driving, and Willie just laughing.
Well, he sounded like an awesome
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah, and Willie was character.
Yeah.